Martin Poor, Gary Gilbert, Jeremiah Burns, Isaac Akia, Humberto Ramos,
Here.
Teresa Shield,
Here.
Robert Snipes, Regina Frankie,
Here.
Randy Swin.
Here.
I'm here. Mark Gilbert, Stephanie Gonzalez,
Here.
Sherry McDaniel, Nick Sherman, Stephen Fonville, James Forcell, Doris Stubing, Mabel Vaughn, Keith Steffen, and Mike Andrews, the best for last. Okay, we have a quorum, and we will start with the invocation.
We'll all bow our heads, please, for prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here safely this evening. Thank you for the recent rains to nourish our lands. I pray that you give us sound ears, sound hearts, and sound minds during this meeting, and again, get us safely home. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance. Our announcements, the Board of Trustees of the Canyon Regional Water Authority may during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to and in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, i.e. the Texas Open Meetings Act. The Board of Trustees may at any time during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session for consultation with its attorneys concerning any of the matters to be considered during the meeting pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. We'll move on to public comments. Any members of the public who want to speak on non-agenda items, there'll be no discussion from the board and a 3-minute time limit.
We do have one.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Jordan Fernans with the City of Cibolo.
Okay.
You hit the button on your mic, please. Is it on?
The one on the right.
I apologize.
Just to let.
Thank you.
Now it is.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Fernans. I am a professional engineer with a company called LRE Water. We're based out of Round Rock, Texas, so I'm not too far away. I am here today on behalf of the City of Cibolo. They recently retained my services to help them understand everything that you do in this meeting and other meetings. So you'll be seeing me whenever you have a meeting. I'll come by. And my role is not to judge or speak, or it's more just to inform the city as to everything that's going on. And as I said, I'll be here until they tell me not to. So there we go. Thanks, everyone.
Well, thank you very much. Please feel free to reach out and we can schedule a meeting if you'd like, if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you. Comments on specific items on the agenda? Okay, not hearing any. We'll move on to consent items. We've got item 6A, which is concerning the approval of the minutes to adopt resolution 250601, approval of minutes for the May 12th, 2025 Board of Trustees meeting, and item 6B, CRWA 250602, concerning approval of financial and check register reports. And that's to adopt the resolution approving the April and May 2025 financial report and check register until audited. I would like to pull the minutes if we can. I have one correction. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 6B. A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. On the minutes, it shows that I nominated Regina, and as you know, I like you, Regina, but I don't think I nominated anyone because I was conducting the process. I think that may have been may have been Nick Sherman, so if we could just correct that in the minutes. That's the only change I had. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Thank you. Item 7, reports. This section looks a little bit different than what we've had in the past. As I was conducting the meeting last month, some of these items just don't have regular updates. You know, Regional meets quarterly, GMA 13 doesn't quite meet monthly. I'm not quite sure what their schedule is. So there's items in there that just naturally aren't going to have an update, but having them listed out one for one on the agenda meant I needed to ask on every single item. If y'all had any further questions, if you had anything else to add, even on things that we didn't have an update on. So this still has those same projects in there. We're not trying to keep any of those projects out. We've just kind of streamlined it into 3 different reports here. And we moved the committee and board of managers reports up to item 7 rather than having them as their own separate item 8, since they're all reports. If you hate it, let me know. I'm happy to change it to however y'all want. I'm not a tyrant. But I just thought this may streamline our meeting a little bit better. And so we'll start with item 7A, water supply facility operations and capital projects. Here we'll have a discussion on current drought conditions, wholesale water supply status, water treatment, storage and transmission operations, current and near-term capital improvement projects.
And so in your packet is a update on the drought conditions and the wholesale water supply. Are there any questions for Mr. Kelfer on those items? All right. Also, water treatment, any or storage and transmission operations. I don't have any notable update on that. I do have some updates on some of the projects, so I'll start off on that. On the strainer improvements project at Lake Dunlap, that contract has been executed, and we're coordinating to schedule a pre-construction meeting at the earliest available date. I have no update on the CRWA interconnect pipeline, other than that there's ongoing alignment coordination to look for better alignment to the tank. It's my understanding there may be a desire, instead of tying it into the tank, to have a pump station. Is that correct? Maybe? Okay. And we can have more discussion on that if that changes, if that's decided on. Hayes Caldwell treatment plant on the mobile membrane unit. That unit has been delivered. 90% payment has been made. The remaining payment will be made after commissioning of the unit. They're still making preparations to tie it in. Of course, Ardura is preparing drawings for the TCEQ for that unit and also for the rental unit. They didn't require those drawings on the rental unit initially, but they've said now that we do need them. But they will not hold us up with the typical timeline for this new unit to be put in service. They'll let us go ahead and put it in service while they're reviewing these drawings. And we're still targeting the end of July for that start of production. On the pilot study, there's still some coordination ongoing and some preparations simultaneous with the mobile unit. However, we're focusing on the mobile unit, especially with Ardura right now. As soon as we get that going, we'll jump back on the pilot study and get those up and running for the 90-day pilot study. Phase 2 ozone improvements, that contract also has been executed. A pre-construction meeting also will be scheduled on that as early as possible, and we'll get an NTP out. Regarding the tariffs, so the contract was executed at the bid amount. The ozone supplier is indicating that there is going to be an increase due to tariffs, but they indicated that earlier on, even though Keeley had put in the PO to them. But with the change in the federal judge ruling that those tariffs might not be legal, we're waiting to see how that falls out. We are in a good position because that was executed at the bid amount. So I will keep you updated as I get more news on that. The Hayes Caldwell pipeline, No real change. We have acquired another easement. There was a spreadsheet showing the easement of the status of those easements on the table. And so we are continuing that. The contract amendment, there's just still coordination for execution of an agreement that will allow distribution and discussion of a contract amendment for the Hayes Caldwell.
Ms. Roberts, we have a. Okay, continue on.
At Wells Ranch, well number one, that was the well that failed. Was declared an emergency. The contractor came out. They looked at it. They shot some video. They have advised that the well cannot be repaired as is. They said that the best that they could do to use the existing well would be to put in a smaller casing and then put concrete around that. But there are other issues with the screens. They're advising that it is not repairable at all. They've indicated that they have their own engineers for design and construction of a new well would be approximately $1.3 million. And until we can get that, we're really going to be limping along, being able to keep up with the demands. Now, I'm not sure that we can just award a contract to them. I believe because of the amount, we would have to put out a solicitation. We would have to request bids. So we will talk more about that. That's the status right now. Wells Ranch 2 emergency generator, that contract got their legal review done. They're planning to send the signed contract back to Canyon Regional this week, and we'll immediately sign it and turn it around to get it executed. Wells Ranch 3, STV was at the Board of Managers meeting and gave a short presentation to update on that with the PER being done. Really, we need to schedule a meeting with the participating parties to talk about the next steps. And you can look to see an email this week asking for availability so that we can get that meeting going. The expanded brackish Carrizo-Wilcox, or the Bloomberg project. We did get a task order for a water supply study. That fee is approximately $600,000. And it's the same scope of work that was included in the PER, or the water supply study for Wells Ranch 3. It'll be the test well design observation, groundwater and water quality blending, modeling, permitting, pipeline route selection and right-of-way needs, environmental study, conceptual design, and an OPCC. If we choose to move forward with that, right now the anticipated delivery date for a draft study would be, I believe, July of next year. Any questions on capital projects?
Everyone who's in Wells Ranch 3 has received the participation agreement. I know that Green Valley had some trouble with the email bouncing, but everyone else, County Line has it. Maxwell, do y'all know if y'all got it or y'all are taking a look at it yet? It went out a couple weeks ago. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay.
President, I would like to make note that Senator Roberts is in attendance now.
Yes, thank you, sir. Yeah, I think, go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the County Line's withholding payment for the raw water on Wells Ranch 3, waiting for the participation agreement. So it's there. Let's discuss it and figure out what we need to do to move it forward, if everyone's interested in moving it forward. Any other questions for Kerry?
I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
With regards to Wells Ranch against the well that's now $1 million, wasn't there a declaration of an emergency?
Yes, sir.
So because it was declared emergency, you can't pursue $1 million rehab?
I need to look at the dollar amount. I believe if it's over a certain amount, you have to request 3 bids. It doesn't have to be a formal solicitation, and I could be incorrect about that, but I believe we have to request 3 bids.
Okay. And then the other question with regards to Bloomberg, the Brackish Wilcox project. The $600,000 that's estimated. Who's going to pay for this?
That has yet to be determined.
So how would you proceed if there's no takers on this? Or I'm assuming there's no takers at this point. I could be wrong. Who would pay for this?
Well,
And how's
that's,
that budgeted?
that same discussion we had at the meeting with participating parties.
It'd be a participation agreement on the front end rather than after the fact, like the Wells Ranch 3 one. It's after the fact. It'll be a participation agreement ahead of it. So
Okay,
before any dollars are spent, there'll be a participation agreement that's able to capture those funds. So we're not, asking for that
That's
money
what I
back.
want to know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we'll take that participation agreement through the contract review committee. We had our meeting last week and we talked about bringing that in to the contract review committee. Okay, if no more questions on item 7A, we'll move to item 7B, external affairs, regional planning and administrative reports. This is discussion on regional partnerships, regulatory agencies, groundwater districts, regional water planning, long-term capital improvements, legal and legislative matters.
And so I'll start with the district and planning group. In Region L, we do have a discussion item on the agenda for executive session regarding the incorrect location identification for the Wells Ranch 3 project. So I'll save that for the executive session. The next planning group meeting is scheduled for August 28th. I believe that the intent is to approve the current plan at that meeting. And so we need to decide how we're going to approach this to get it fixed before August 28th. GMA 13, I have no update. The next regular meeting is on July 25th. The Gonzales County Underground Water Conservation District, they did have a meeting on May 13th. The GBRA permit application was on that agenda. And also a public workshop on the proposed rule changes. There were no decisions made on either of those items. They do have a meeting tomorrow and they have placed those items back on the agenda for discussion tomorrow evening, but with no commitment to actually making a decision on either. And then,
I'm not aware of a statutory deadline for them to make a determination. And it's, at some point, you'd imagine GBRA will lose patience and try to force it through the court system. But I think they're going to be as patient as they can be in the hopes of a good result.
At the Guadalupe County Groundwater Conservation District, we're still coordinating for permitting the well 2. Also still communicating with the district as well as the landowner and developer regarding the exempt wells on the Bright property and the potential for additional wells. Their next regular meeting is this coming Thursday at 4:30.
Ruben, Trey, anything? Yep.
My items are in the executive session.
Okay. Any questions on item 7B? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 7C, committee and board of managers reports. The executive committee met to do the agenda review last week. We're cognizant of a new bill that's been, that I believe is going to be signed. That's going to require us to have our agendas posted a little bit sooner. Right now, the agenda posting is allowed to count the weekends as your 72-hour rule. You're no longer going to be able to do that. So now you'll have to do 3 business days, I think is actually how the language reads.
Yes.
And so we'll need to make sure we get the agenda out a little bit earlier. Since we have a Monday meeting, it'll have to be out on Wednesday. The executive committee also met to discuss the general manager's performance review. I sent that all out to you on Friday. You should have seen it. You didn't, let me know. We'll discuss that in executive session. Carrie has not received the review yet. That's what the agenda item for later on in executive sessions for. Okay, budget committee.
We had our first meeting today at 10 o'clock this morning. It was basically just a kickoff, getting to know you type meetings. Since I'm new to the committee and Ms. Roberts is new to the committee, it gave us all a chance to introduce each other and get to know who else is going to be on the committee. We also we discussed how CRWA's budget process works, and we discussed what to expect from future meetings. Talking with Joan, she did say to us that she has some entities who still need to provide their water usage projections for FY26. So if y'all could get those to her ASAP before we start our next budget process. And our next in-person budget meeting is going to be June the 23rd at 2 p.m.
Thank you. Questions for the Budget Committee? Construction Committee?
Carrie touched on a lot of the items we covered in the meeting. There's a couple of things that I do want to point out. On the Hayes Caldwell Phase 1 improvement project, there are some items that have been installed incorrectly or in the incorrect locations. David seems to have taken note of that and brought it to everyone's attention. I did see in the packet there seems to be an update of some of those items. So we have notified and there is discussion ongoing about those, but it was generally the construction committee's opinion that items should be installed per plan, no deviations without approval in advance. That's generally our opinion. So I wanted to point that out. Good job, staff, catching it, and we need to pay close attention to that sort of thing. Additional item on the Bloomberg project. Since Kerry said he thinks he'll have something for this body in July in the committee meeting, is that still a good estimation of time when something would be brought to this body? Maybe.
I would like to have an update and, have had a meeting with the participating parties by then and have a good direction.
Okay. And then just on the well failure, there was some discussion that it's possible the original concrete plug that was constructed in 2009, that well went in. Maybe it wasn't done entirely correctly, which may have led to some of this. So that leads again to my point about construction inspection and paying attention to what's going in. It's very, very important. But everything else Carrie's already touched on in previous updates.
Questions for the Construction Committee? Will you turn your mic on, please? Oh.
These piping and electrical that's in the wrong location, has there been any steps taken to relocate or correct any of that?
There hasn't been anything moved yet. They're still surveying some of it. They surveyed the pipes and you can't make heads or tails out of what they came up with. So they're going to have to come up with something different. It's just a bunch of points. It ain't referred to or there's nothing to go by. So no, nothing has changed on it. It's all still, and then electrical all got backfilled. So I don't know how they're going to survey that in.
That tie-in that was out of square and kind of jacked, has that been addressed?
Well, Bobby said that last week while I was on vacation that they decided they're going to relay about 80 feet of the pipe and try to swing it around and get it lined up. So
okay,
I'll look at that and see what happens, comes up with that. So,
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Along with that, Mr. Chair, can we get a list of what actually is not working at Hayes Caldwell? Because I think I was unaware of this. I know there's a spillway that was supposedly a problem, and then I heard some stuff last month. Every time we come to this meeting, there's always something different going on with Hayes Caldwell, and my concern is it's costing us money.
Sure.
And so I'd like for the next meeting, tell us exactly what happened, what was the remedy, and again, the last discussion we had at this meeting was it wasn't going to cost us anything. So I'm assuming these other janky things aren't going to cost us anything, but to better understand what's going on so we can keep abreast of what's happening, we need to know what's happening, who did it, and who was the contractor and what happened.
Is it possible to have a report from the inspector
Say
Is
that
it
again, sir.
possible to have a report from the inspector?
It's in your packet from Cobb Finley, and David's concerns are listed in there. It's a numbered, I mean, like almost 20 items, if I remember correctly, David. If you look in your packet, there's, it's David's concerns, I think is how it's been labeled from Cobb Finley.
There's significant concerns too.
Yeah.
There's 19 of them. You're right.
19, yes, sir.
They're significant.
There's so these are all the fault of the contractor. We finally realized and ascertained that the general contractor did not provide complete plans, and in some cases just took an excerpt from a plan sheet to give to the sub, as opposed to just giving them the whole set of plans. So right now they're looking at making sure they're tying down the control points, and those are correct. But we do not anticipate that Canyon Regional will be liable for any of these additional costs. If any of this infrastructure that's in the wrong place, if it's determined that it can stay, then we'll take a look at that. But some of it will surely have to be moved, and it'll be at the contractor's expense.
Who's,
Will you turn your mic on, please? Oh, okay.
I guess my question is, I think you're saying the electrical's already been backfilled, and we need to look at it. Why? I don't understand why we're not looking at those things before they're covered up.
Well, we raised that concern as well, and we don't feel like we were getting the level of inspection services, boots on the ground that we're paying for.
And it's not-
Yes, ma'am. And they have a sub for the actual, the actual inspector. But, we expect it to improve. Some of those things most of those things should have been caught by an inspector before, like the conduit and the pipeline that, so in some cases, the subcontractor, because they didn't have complete plans, they surmised that it would be better to move it over a little bit. Well, they're not at liberty to make that decision. If they come across something, they need to put it in an RFI, and that wasn't being done. So moving forward, we have very clearly expressed that we expect those things to happen.
We're holding their money.
I guess going back to that, one, when stuff like that happens for us, I request somebody else to be the inspector. I don't stay with the same inspector, so I ask for them to be replaced if I'm not happy with their production. Secondly, we're not being charged extra money, but our time is money for us. And so I guess I need them to understand that when they're delaying things, I understand there's LDs at the end and all that kind of stuff, but we're coming up on some hot summer months and we can't afford to have anything else go wrong. So that's just my 2 cents worth.
Yes, ma'am. If we have to relocate any of them, what we will request from them is a recovery schedule that incorporates that delay and doesn't extend the completion date.
Other questions?
so just to be clear, it's DNT Tanks as a contractor? Just make sure I don't get them. Okay. What a mess.
Okay, the contract review committees met twice. First meeting was just an introduction with some homework. Second meeting was a discussion on the existing contracts. Our next steps are to reach out to bond counsel and the financial advisor to talk about options for the new contracts and options for revising the old ones. You'll see the meeting notes in your packet. If you got any questions, happy to answer them. Board of Managers.
Good evening, everyone. So I did put a report in everyone's pack tonight, so you have it. It's with the back of the pack. I just did, I want to say, appreciate the president giving us the chart. We need to do, we reviewed that very briefly. We also discussed the GBRA conservation plan, which we have up here as business item A. So I'll go ahead and give you my recommendation now. That'd be okay.
Yes, sir.
So the board manager discussed it. We had another presentation by GBRA. It's very similar to what you heard last board meeting. The questions from the managers really centered around cost. How it would be diverted project. So we've, that number is anywhere between 100 acre feet of water, and the cost y'all been pre tons, $6,000, per So we took all that into account. Those were the managers. So what they're asking you to do now on this, finding that one of the and the cost that they didn't know until they entered all that stuff to actually get them. So that's the reason why I'm asking for I would call a soft commitment now, saying interested. And then later when they get the permit. And for me, in offering. So as a consensus matter, we did recommend this item A to the agreement with the understanding that they that was just a couple other things we did discuss in a detail from STB is pretty much we want to know for this particularly the Bloom project with free project. So our discuss was we replace that's exactly what we got out, so we figured out how to pay. Last thing we talked about just in general discussion, how can we figure out how to raise some revenue for capital improvement? Basically, what we like to do is have the staff examine some research, whether CRWA fees, somebody uses that fee, but it can impact. But that's what we'll recommend. Into that, a possible way to fund you. We're really asking the staff to research. No one here is this. We're into it. Other than that, been any questions? The rest. That's my report.
Yeah, thank y'all for taking a listen on the GBRA Habitat Conservation Plan for us.
I have a question just for clarification. I think the way I understood the habitat plan, it's not something that is necessarily required. However, if we don't participate, we're looking at participating because of cost sharing, but if we don't participate and we wind up injuring some sort of habitat, then we run the risk of pretty much getting nailed to the cross.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
That's totally. It's like, it's basically insurance policy for the future. And right now, we don't know what policies are going to be. They may change drastically in the next 4 years. So that's why we want to keep our record. See where this thing. That's right.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Y'all may have saw when I sent y'all the email for the general manager performance review. I also sent y'all committee charges. Those are documents we haven't had before. We've never had any written guidance, as far as I can tell. Maybe sometime a long time ago for the committees. I took a stab at creating those documents. If you have any questions on them, please let me know. Same comment before. I'm not a tyrant. I'm happy with changing things to the will of this board. I just thought it was important for them to have some written guidance. Okay, if we don't have it.
Mr. Chair, I have a question, and I apologize. With regards to Wells Ranch 3, the commitments, how many commitments does Canyon Regional have for Wells Ranch 3? That's signed?
0. Yeah, East Central sent comments back. Springs Hill's looking, Green Valley's looking, and then I think it's Maxwell and County Line and Crystal Clear is the other 3.
I believe Green Valley has sent our comments back.
Okay.
So what is the deadline to fill this or sign this document? I would think there'd be some thought process as to, certainly we need to pay our fair share. So what is the thought process? When does this have to be completed?
I had assumed it'd be like a 60-day process, just because it takes so much time to get it through everyone's board, and Canyon Regional won't consider it until your board's considered it, my board's considered it. So I think we're probably talking about like a 60-day window here.
So when would that be?
When would that start?
60 days from today, from whenever?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say from today. It really would, the document went out 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago,
May 9th.
May 9th.
I only sent it to the general managers for each entity.
Other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 8. Discuss, consider, and take possible action on Resolution 2506003 regarding the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority Habitat Conservation Plan. You may remember from just a few short minutes ago, the Board of Managers took this up for review and has issued a recommendation. I won't make Phil come back up and tell us that.
And I will note on that, I called Daniel Large at GBRA to ask him. I didn't hear it at the Board of Managers meeting, but he said they don't anticipate that they would ask us to make, our first contribution until fiscal year 2028. They feel like the timeline will be that extended before they get a permit and then the certificate of inclusion. So before it would cost any money, it'll be a couple years down the road.
And we would always have that final opportunity to determine whether we participate or exit the group,
Yes, sir.
program.
That's until when it comes, if we sign the certificate of inclusion, that's when we would be committed.
So this is not the certificate of inclusion.
No, sir. This is just a memo of a MOU or
MOA, a memorandum of agreement.
I'll make a
Wait.
motion.
I'm sorry, when do they anticipate that? Is it a couple of years they anticipate that being done, the certificate of inclusion, or when do they
A
anticipate?
year to 2 years.
Okay.
It's based on the permit. Once they get the permit, then they do the certificate of inclusion.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 25-06-003.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item 8B, discuss, consider, and take possible action on Resolution 2506004, approving a proposed addendum to contract for sale part of CRWA's ownership in the HCPUA contract as amended with Martindale WSC, providing for a schedule of reimbursement of sums advanced by CRWA in connection with the HCPUA ARWA project. So this is the third and final agreement. We've already done Crystal Clears and Green Valleys. This is Martindale's agreement. It's the same payment they've been making for almost a decade now. We'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on item 8B? All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. And thank you for working on that and you three all getting this done. And this project was, if I remember correctly, some of these costs were 2013, if I remember correctly, 12 years ago. So thank you. Okay, item 8C, discuss, consider, and take possible action directing CRWA staff to establish CRWA email addresses for trustees. A lot more controversial of a topic than I thought it would be last month. And so I'm going to let the attorneys give a quick discussion on the reason why they think it's important for us as trustees to have Canyon Regional supplied email addresses rather than using personal email addresses or those from your employer.
Did I bring that up? We're just now getting to it.
I asked about that the other day, primarily because I sent an opinion to Brandon about one of the agenda items that we had at the 2 meetings ago involving the emergency procedure. But when I sent the opinion, it basically went to Brandon at East Central SUD. The problem with that is that now an opinion that really belongs to the Canyon Regional Water Authority now is a part of East Central SUD's business records. And so anybody could certainly file a Public Information Act request and get Canyon Water Regional opinions, other documents, contracts, et cetera, as a part of the SUD. And that's just not right. It shouldn't be allowed. Secondly, with respect to formal litigation, it's just difficult to track what is where. I mean, if I send an opinion to each and every one of you, and it goes to your respective SUDs, water supply corporations, cities, et cetera, if you don't use the right keywords to be able to find documents, you'd never be able to find that document that we're supposed to be able to respond in a litigation context. So there again, we find ourselves in a problem. Eventually, we'll figure it out, but we may figure it out when it's too late. And that may be a document, maybe an agreement, can be a memo, can be an email message, et cetera, that is really key to our case. But we didn't find it in time, and now it's not allowable in there because we couldn't find it within the period of time that we have discovery deadlines. So whether it's formal litigation, whether it's Public Information Act requests, all of those, again, whether they're agreements, email memos, any document that can be considered a business record of Canyon Regional Water Authority should be in Canyon Regional Water's business records. End of discussion. I mean, beginning, end, it should all be here. It should not be anywhere else. I'm not saying that, your respective organizations would be looking at those, especially opinions and things of that nature, but the problem is they're out there. Nowadays we all handle discussions among each other by email. And so we need to contain that a little bit more. I mean, those are my big reasons. Trey may have some additional ones.
I really just have one other additional reason, and it's one that's happened here. Both of our last two Board of Trustees presidents were using the email addresses from their respective entities. Those documents, the email communications, many of which are confidential, many of which are attorney-client privileged, still reside on the servers for the entities for which they were associated. So many of Albert's emails probably are still in East Central servers. Many of Tim's emails are still in Cibolo servers. And so there's some confidentiality provisions, concerns that are associated with that. If somebody were to send a Public Information Act request to one of those entities, it's doubtful that they would go through and scrub the messages of those former presidents of CRWA with regard to CRWA's confidentiality. That's just not on the radar. And so that's a big concern. And one way to address that is through having a CRWA specific email address for all the trustees. Ruben did mention the Public Information Act in passing, and that's kind of been an emerging area of the law. I had talked to, Doris, you're right, you mentioned this about 3 years ago, I think, when Mr. Gibbs's committee first started the Herculean task of revamping all the policies. And I brought to you as a committee a case called Austin Bulldog. And that is one of these kind of tattletale self-funded publications in Austin that had really had an issue with the Austin City Council. And they started pursuing emails. Many of the council members were exchanging city-related emails through personal email addresses through Yahoo and Gmail and others. And Public Information Act request was submitted. The city objected because some of them were in personal emails. That publication, Austin Bulldog, took it through the court system up through the Third Court of Appeals. And the Third Court of Appeals actually said that those private emails, because public business was conducted on them, they are subject to the Public Information Act. I know that many of the people in the room who I've communicated with by email have there's Roadrunner email addresses, Gmail email addresses, and at least one Yahoo email address just present in this room today. And so by using a CRWA address, you would be shielding those personal email addresses from potential intrusion through the Public Information Act or through litigation. And so I think it's kind of a no-brainer. We acknowledge that it's a hassle. We acknowledge that it's one more email address that you have to check, but there's valid reasons for doing this, and those reasons probably outweigh any sort of inconvenience that's associated with it.
Gentlemen, my question would be, it's another email address I have to check.
Yes, sir.
If I check it on any device, does that now bring that device into play in terms of a court case?
It wouldn't if those emails are hosted through the CRWA servers. The device itself isn't subject to inspection. It's the contents of that device, but that device won't host the emails. Those emails reside on a server that CRWA through its vendor control. So it doesn't matter if you looked at it on your cell phone or you looked at it at the computer at the library. They don't need to go to that extreme to get it if it's a CRWA email.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
They just come to us and say, this is what we want, and we do a search. Just to add very quickly with what Trey mentioned, on personal emails, it's very unlikely that happens. I mean, I only know, I think, of one, maybe two situations here where people use their private emails. But if you do, once again, we're talking about what you think about. You normally will say, all right, first level of search is going to be a CRWA server. Next, if it's not there, well, let's go to the various entities that are around the table here. You likely aren't going to think, well, let's see, is what about a personal email? That's just not going to be on your radar, especially when you've got a deadline coming up. And so we want to make sure that it's not a part of our radar. You know, let's make sure that we just keep it within Canyon Regional, and that's it. You know, we don't bother your servers. We only burden the server here. And that way, whether it's you all or any other member of the public that wants a record, a public record, they just come to CRWA and say, this is what we want. And we do a search and document comes up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but can we forward it? You know, just do an automatic forward to another email that we already have like on our device or something.
If you forward the answer, your response will not be on the CRWA server.
I guess you could, but the problem is, you know, essentially we go back to what Trey mentioned that, you know, if you have it on your personal email, that opens up all of your personal emails as
Okay, so
public
even if it's
information.
forwarded and then
Yeah.
you know, reply back from that email.
Yeah.
Because you can still do that. It doesn't come from your personal, it can still come from, you know, the CRWA one. But, okay,
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want people messing with your private email.
I understand. But, you know, as everybody here knows, you know, you get on your personal device and you got 7 different emails, you know, that you're looking at on your phone and everything. So sometimes it's just helpful. I have a couple of my emails that are actually forwarded to another one, so that I get them but I can still respond as, you know, that one. So, I was just
So.
curious about that part.
Wouldn't that though breach the client attorney privilege if it is, even if it's forwarded? Because I have some that are automatically forwarded like from a Gmail to one Yahoo account. So if you're doing it like your CRWA to like your Yahoo, would that then potentially violate that attorney
Probably.
client? Okay.
Yes, probably. Mhm.
Well, the attorney-client privilege is different than confidentiality. So the attorney-client privilege is only violated if you divulge or disclose information to a third party that's not covered by the privilege. That's a little bit different from confidentiality of your emails that are now living on another entity's server. When you forward them, whether it's your private email address or to your respective member entity servers, now those communications reside there. So that's not necessarily a violation of the attorney-client privilege, but they're out there. And like Ruben said, they become the business records of another entity.
Because we're all aligned, the assumption is that if we send something to Canyon Regional or we send it to your individual server, we're still protected by attorney-client privilege because we're all aligned. I mean, you're members of this organization. So AC privilege doesn't really come into play. It's confidentiality.
So
Yeah.
a really relevant, timely example is each one of the Hayes Caldwell entities last fall received a Public Information Act request from a law firm. That's the same law firm that represents the city of San Marcos. Each one of us went and assembled a batch of documents that largely involved communication. CRWA produced about 3,200 pages.
Yeah.
Most of the time when somebody sends a request like that, they're not specifically looking for personal emails and things like that. But what happens is it becomes a source of a search. You say, oh, well, here's some, can I pick on you, Mr. Fonville? You use a Roadrunner account. And so whenever your emails come across through those Public Information Act requests, a diligent litigant's going to say, oh, well, here's some communications that are on a Roadrunner host. I can either send a subpoena to Time Warner, who hosts Roadrunner, or I can send a request for information or even a subpoena to Mr. Fonville and try to pull those emails off of his Roadrunner account. And so they're out there, and there's lots of ways that they inadvertently end up in the public domain, and they just become kind of the dots on a treasure map. And it's just fodder for somebody to harass you and seek discovery. And that's the concern that we have.
Sure.
And they're just not going to look for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Any other questions?
Based on your example, even if we forward it to another device, we open up an accounting line, we're subject to open records there, correct? We're subject to someone requesting this information. So, I mean, I don't see how generating another email here. I see where it kind of helps with one level, but if we start forwarding emails and we want to print emails at some other establishment, those are no longer confidential, correct? It's now in my server, it's in my house. And so, I mean, to me, this doesn't make any sense. It just, you created another layer, but so what? So you forward this over to your other email account, and then that's subject to whatever. So it's no different. You just have, but here's the problem. Here's the problem. You say that, but we all do that. Don't forward it over. So I think if you could have some game rules or something, you can't forward emails that come from Canyon Regional. Then how is that going to be business for us?
Are there any of the entities that don't, or that are not subject to a FOIA request if it was sent to Green Valley, Cibolo, Lavernia, Springs Hill? Are there any of our entities that would not be required to respond to a FOIA request?
The cities are all subject to the Public Information Act request, the special utilities are all subject to PIA. And I believe the water supply corporations are also subject to the PIA. So everybody around this room here is subject to the PIA on an individual basis.
If everyone was utilizing a email address that's already subject to discovery, we're just creating a policy that sets us up to make a mistake by forwarding to the wrong email address or something to that effect. I think it's a layer of complication that's not needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that Mr. Ramos raises a good point. The way that the agenda item is written is pretty broad, and it talks about directing staff to establish the addresses. I think that some ground rules, some protocol for how these addresses would be used would help you to make a better decision instead of you taking action on this tonight. But, you know, I know I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I understand this was kind of controversial both during the meeting and afterward. And so wanted a chance to talk to you about why this is important. It's done at most entities. And there's certainly layers of firewall that can be inserted in the process, and we ought to explore that.
Well, and the other thing we can explore is whether it's a executive committee only kind of thing. People who do generally speak a little bit more with the attorneys. Most of you are receiving packets, right? Or agendas. You're not really truly communicating with CRWA.
I think
So-
your primary goal here, though, is to keep everything you can that is CRWA related on the CRWA server, basically in your hands, not in all of ours under our discretion of what we release as open records. Because if we're getting an open records request for something that would normally be pulled from the CRWA server, and we're getting it through Green Valley or Crystal Clear, then again, we're subject to have to look through it and decide if it's something we should be supplying, and we're having to pay our attorneys to decide if it's something. So I think the primary goal here is to keep everything that's CRWA related under CRWA's purview for open records request type stuff. Am I?
Yes, that's
okay.
one of at least three primary objectives. And because of the nature of all these entities, it's difficult to do that. But I will tell you, you know, you've been on the executive committee, Regina, for several years now. And you know that I, for one, could communicate extensively with the committee, and frankly, a lot of times. And I'm a little bit concerned about some of the emails that are out there for me. I saw some of them come back at those open records requests that said Marcus submitted. And I said, boy, I really didn't mean for anybody other than my own executive committee to see this, but some other Hayes Caldwell entity produced it. And so it is a valid concern. It's not just, you know, speculative.
And while I understand, I do. Do we know what platform we would be utilizing? Would it be like a Google account, you know, based, or do we know what kind of platform it would be based?
Whatever Canyon Regional uses right now.
Here's Holzer, I believe. Yeah, here Holzer, I always mess that up. Is the vendor that handles this. Adam probably has some more knowledge.
So in regional, we handle our emails in-house, and it's through Outlook.
Outlook, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So what more information do y'all want on this? If we want to wait to take action until next month, is there the guide walls or the guidelines and guardrails, you know, on forwarding? Do y'all want a different proposal that isn't every single trustee having them? What would y'all like to see out of this? Other than it to disappear, Nick. Yes, sir.
One of the things that I'm hearing is about forwarding. That's your choice. If you want to forward and you want to open your personal email or another email, open up to open records, that's your choice. If you have a Canyon Water Regional Authority email address, I think it one, protects the documents, the attorneys, like you're saying. Two, if you want to forward it, that's your choice. You can do that. Even if it's a policy, people break policy all the time. It's not going to prevent that from happening. But what it will prevent is your personal email from being, and I work for the city, I know this, we will get open records all the time. And if you're not on the right server and you're not using the proper email address, your stuff is subject to open records. And so it's going to be a choice of the person how you use it. But I think that it's going to protect this organization better to have it on one server. And to the attorney's point, it's very important not to have confidential information sitting on Lavernier's server, because I go away and I've got this stuff and it may not be something that we can use later, but it could be something we could use later. And it doesn't protect this organization. So I think all the policies would be great. People aren't going to follow the policies. They can forward if they want to. I suggest you don't forward it. And you can set up your accounts to where you can get notifications on an email. I probably got 6 email accounts on my phone, and they all come when I look at the email, it pops up. If I respond, it stays in that email account. So it's not that difficult.
I think it's a good business practice to do it. Having been through FOIA requests before, and you have no idea some of the stuff that's out there.
I don't think it hurts to put some sort of policy together for legal, to put some sort of very simplistic policy together for guidelines for all of us, just to give us that heads up warning. Here is why we don't want you to. Like you said, people break policy all the time, and it may happen, but it's at your own risk and after being forewarned.
At the most fundamental level, you should not be, sorry to have to phrase it this way, but one board member should not be forwarding emails to any other board members. That starts looking like you're having discussions outside of a public meeting or texts or anything like that. A email response back to Carrie, cool, but not among the board members themselves.
Okay, so y'all would like to see a document of some sort, some kind of policy, some guidelines, and bring it back to next month's meeting if we have them in time? Less than a page. Okay. Okay, any other discussion on item 8C? I think staff has their direction. We'll see this item at next month's meeting. If we have it in time.
Mr. Pratt, I was going to say the policy will say you need to use the CRWA email, period.
Got it.
That's the policy.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
If there's no more discussion on item 8C, we'll move forward to item 8D. Discuss and consider potential options for eliminating paper agenda packets. Sherry, this is your item. I'm sorry. Usually we put your name after it. You know, if item's been asked by a trustee member, we didn't do that for you this time. But take it and run with it. I'm happy to fill in any way I can.
Okay. So I noticed when I first started on the board, you walk into the lobby and there's a stack of these paper, 144 pages of paper that they make 25 copies of. So when y'all leave today, what are you going to do with this? Some keep them, some throw them away. Some don't even pick them up and they just sit there. So I'm just trying to wonder if there's any way we can cut down on the amount of paper we're using, the amount of ink that we're using, and the amount of staff's time putting these together. We had the same thing at Green Valley when I first got on there. And one of the first things we did was go to these nice little iPads. All of our agendas, your mails and all of that keeps that. This belongs to Green Valley. It's issued out to the board members, and it keeps all of your personal Green Valley stuff, or in this case, CRWA stuff, all on one device. My Green Valley email is on here. All my packets are sent here. Everything's on this one device. So I was just thinking maybe a discussion that maybe this is something we can consider in the future, is maybe getting rid of all this paper. These iPads are not expensive. And it would be a good way, and it's checked out to you, and it's managed by CRWA or their IT. I know you have a third-party IT person, but it's managed completely by the authority. And then when you get off the board, you turn it in and the next person gets it. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's any way we can get away from all this tree killing with this paper. And also the time and effort that staff has to use to put this together every month.
I will tell you, we did this at Springs Hill and we paid for the iPads for our board members within 2 months in terms of paper.
And they pay, yeah.
Not even count time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not even just the price of the iPad versus the price of the copy.
And they're super inexpensive now. I think, I want to say we bought these and these are the higher end ones. They have the little stylus and the whole thing. And I want to say they were like $500, but they're the high end ones. You can get a simple iPad for $300.
And we could put the CRWA email address and
Yeah.
it'd be, I thought I'd make Ruben happy. Just, one-stop shop, kind of a Costco for CRWA.
But that's what's good about it is everything for Green Valley I have is on this iPad. It belongs to Green Valley. Everything if anything's ever called upon, I can show it publicly. It's limited to what I can put on it besides basically packets, emails. I don't watch movies or it doesn't allow anything like that. So all you need is a really simple iPad. So I just wanted to bring this up as a discussion and see if it's maybe something y'all would like to consider.
I'll add, while I absolutely don't want another thing. Sherry is absolutely correct. And apparently Springs Hills had the same experience that I had no idea how much labor we were burning generating paper copies of things. And it was very helpful to Green Valley staff to eliminate a lot of that.
The only downside is when we were printing, we would tell people for our Tuesday board meeting that they could come Monday afternoon to get the print. But now we can have the electronic ready by Friday, so they have more time to look at shit. But that's double-edged sword. But yeah.
I just want to say, Mr. Telfer did get some, informal price quotes. He looked at iPads and Android tablets. The Android tablets were not recommended. The iPads were. With technical support, the cost per person would be roughly $530. And presuming that it would be the same, it'll go up from time, from year to year some, but that's with the tech support being $150 each. And I believe that's the same that East Central has. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do the same thing. We moved iPads as well for our board members.
Now, for all 22 board members, that total cost the first year would be about $11,500, with the tech support being an annual cost. If an individual chose to go with Android tablet, or if you as a board decide to go with Androids, with tech support, $5,500. Without tech support, $4,000. With the recurring, if the tech support, that would be a recurring cost.
So what's the cost of your printing?
We haven't determined that, but we will do that.
That's your offset.
Your printing, your time, your ink, the wear on the machine. There's a lot to be considered.
Would we not be able to use an iPad if we have it issued from our entity? And then that kind of goes back to our CRWA email. You can make your folder and move it into that folder, and then you don't have to worry about any, everything is right there for both our entities as well as CRWA that it may affect our entity.
At risk of getting a slap from the left, I would say, yeah, I don't know why we couldn't. Well, here comes the slap.
Well, and those that still want a printed one, I have board members that sometimes.
Yeah, I can print it from my printer if I need to, because I can't read so well on the tablets.
Yeah.
Okay. And plus when I'm researching, I like to go back in my notebook and say, okay, back in May, and go right to that May agenda versus having to find it in the tablet. So I do better paper, but I can print my own paper if I need to. Okay. But and to be quite honest, I don't like anything with an I in front of it. So
Thank you, Tracy. I'm an Android user too.
Yeah.
Mr. President, if I can answer
With eyes.
Yes, sir.
The answer to your question is, it's just, I think it's a little bit above my pay grade, Ms. Roberts. I better talk to my IT guy who's right next door to me, and he's a super genius when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, if we have both a CRA account and let's say a City of Cibolo account on the same device, can the City of Cibolo gain entree into the Canyon Regional by virtue of the fact that it's on the same advice? It's just.
These are all public documents. So the agenda packet's a public document. It's on the website. We're not talking about trying to put confidential information on them.
Well, I was
Right.
asking for the purpose of the cost. Because if you don't have to spend $500 on me, because I have my,
Right.
the city of Cibolo, well, that's $500 we have to spend. If we don't have to spend it on, Spring Hill or
Right.
GB side,
I get it.
I mean, that, it takes that cost of 11,000 maybe down to what, 6?
Yeah, I was more concerned with the emails than the.
So, it sounds like, go ahead, Mr. Owens.
I've got a couple comments. Thanks for bringing this up because I do have stacks of Canyon Regional documents that are from even budgets, right? It makes sense. The only thing I'm questioning is, can we have policies with regards to these devices, right? What is the policy we need to follow with regards to these devices? Also replacement. I want to be clear if we lose this, who's responsible? Am I responsible? Do I have to do so? I think that needs to be one of the things we need to approach at the same time when we do this. But it makes sense. We need to come to the 21st century at some point, and I do have stacks again of Canyon Regional documents that some of them are good, some old maps.
You would not be the first public entity to go in this direction, as Ms. McDaniels has pointed out. It's actually a great idea, although lawyers are supposed to keep their opinions to themselves. I know of other public entities that have already done this, and it works very, very well.
So I'm hearing interest in it. I think we need staff to kind of better refine the numbers, and we need a policy. You're absolutely right. You don't just hand somebody something and say, here you go. We need a policy for
Do
it.
we have an electronic device policy for staff members? I mean, I think that could extend very easily to trustees as well, because if someone has a laptop, if someone has an iPad, if someone has a phone that's CRWA property, surely we have an existing policy that covers that. And if we don't, maybe this is a good time to figure that out.
Or unless y'all got one, you can let us see for this.
We have a policy.
Yeah. It's something, yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll have this on the agenda for next month unless I'm hearing some absolute objection to it. Yes, sir.
Can I say one thing?
You may.
The agenda's up here, right?
Yes,
When you
sir.
come in here. So to get down the road where you want to go, which I agree 100%, can we not, when we send out the agenda, just put a blurb, if you want a hard copy, please,
Bring it.
please say, bring it, or please
Yeah.
ask for a copy. And we could at least cut down half of the agendas we're printing out at these meetings.
Great suggestion. I think you're absolutely right. I think what we should do is just have staff create just a limited number for here at the meeting, and we know that, or I guess there may be some of us that don't have their own computer, their own laptop to be able to bring it in. But if you want it, you print it, and
Back when the city of Cibolo first went to the iPads, there were some councilmen that did not want an iPad. And so they printed, it was a set group, and they printed for them every month, every meeting, and the rest of us did electronic.
okay, thank you for the suggestion, and we'll have this.
One last thing.
Yes,
Would
ma'am.
it be possible also when we bring this back, can staff also maybe figure a cost of what it's costing each month to print up these agendas
Yes, ma'am, we certainly will.
so that we can do a good cost comparison?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, include staff's time too. I imagine that it's not a quick process. Okay, any other discussion on item 8D? Okay, with that, we are going to end our open session at 7:09 PM. We will be going into executive session after a 5-minute recess, if 5 minutes is enough for you. The Board of Trustees may meet in an executive session to discuss the following items, if any, pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including where appropriate sections 551071, 551072, 551074, 551076, 551086, 551089, and 418183 subsection F of the Texas Government Code. All formal action will occur in open session. Consultation with CRWA's attorney concerning cause number 250782 CVE, City of San Marcos. Can y'all just give me a minute to finish reading out the executive session? No problem. Thank you. County Line Special Utility District, Crystal Clear Special Utility District, Maxwell Special Utility District, and Martindale Water Supply Corporation, pending in the 456th District Court of Guadalupe County, Texas, pursuant to section 551071 of the Texas Government Code. Consultation with CRWA's attorneys concerning cause number 240377 CBE, Canyon Regional Water Authority versus Tri-Hydro Corporation, and David Maxwell, pending in the 456th District Court of Guadalupe County, Texas, pursuant to section 551071 of the Texas Government Code. Item C, consultation with CRWA's attorney concerning cause number 251569 CBE, Canyon Regional Water Authority versus Windsor Chase LLC, pending in the 456th District Court of Guadalupe County, Texas, pursuant to section 551071 of the Texas Government Code. Item D, consultation with CRWA's attorney considering legal issues involving misidentification of the Canyon Regional Water Authority's Wells Ranch 3 project in the regional plan pursuant to section 551071 of the Texas Government Code. And item E, deliberation regarding the evaluation duties of CRWA General Manager Carrie Everett pursuant to section 551074 of the Texas Government Code, and consultation with CRWA's attorneys involving the evaluation and duties of CRWA General Manager Carrie Everett pursuant to section 55107 of the Texas Government Code. Thank you. 5 minutes. Let's come back at 7:17.
It's almost as good as Ted was signing that.
We will reconvene into open session at 8:18. The first item we have is return to open meeting. Board trustees may consider, deliberate, and act on items discussed in executive session, if any. Item 10A, the board will discuss, consider, and take possible action authorizing CRWA's attorneys to join as defendants in a lawsuit pending in the Guadalupe County District Court under cause number 251569 CVE. All necessary and appropriate parties, including but not limited to owners of lots purchased from Windsor Chase LLC and which are part of the subdivided 198.854 acre tract, made the subject of suit. I'll entertain a motion.
All right, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion authorizing CRWA's attorneys to join as defendants in the lawsuit pending in Guadalupe County District Court under cause number 25-1569-CV-E. All necessary and appropriate parties, including but not limited to owners of lots purchased from Windsor Chase LLC and which are part of the subdivided 198.54 acre tract made the subject of suit.
Second.
There was one minor, restate your acreage, please.
198.854.
Oh, okay, sorry. 198.854 acre.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. We do not need to take action on item 10B. Staff knows the direction to take. Move on to item 11A, future board member agenda items. The next Board of Trustees meeting will be held on Monday, July 14th, 2025. We'll have a number of the items that the email policy and the iPads. We'll try and have that information ready for y'all for next month's meeting. If we can't, then we'll have it at the August meeting. Any other agenda items, please just let us know and we'll be happy to put it on. Yes, ma'am. Employee handbook and the possibility of HR. You mean hiring a HR group? Okay. Okay. Any other agenda items? If not, just reach out to us and let us know. With that, we'll move on to item 12. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Perfect. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank y'all for